Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Foran.
What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Foran from High School Top 200. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Meeting podcast. I am Herschel Foran. I run High School Top 200, and so welcome back. If you're not on my socials, or if you want to have a look for socials, apart from my YouTube, which is HS High School Top 200, on Facebook, it's High School Top 200 on Facebook. On Instagram and on TikTok, it's HS Top 200 at HS High School Top 200. And then on the website, it's a $5 subscription monthly one, and it's hstop200.com. And that's where you can find out all the rankings, all the new rankings and stuff like that. Like the year 11 rankings just went up. The year 12 and year 13 ranking will go up this week, even though that there's no games, or there's a bit of a rest and camps will happen and all that kind of stuff. The rankings will still go up, and there's players that I have not put on so far, and it's kind of just based off where and how high am I putting them, who's coming off. Sometimes I don't even know that a player is like a year 11 or he's a year 12, and I think he's a year 13, but he's not, and all that kind of stuff that goes into it too. But there's some players that I'm still kind of evaluating, and they will go on before the end of the year, or they will go on soon, or actually they'll probably go on this week. But yeah, go have a look at the rankings on hstop200.com. $5 subscription monthly, like I said. And it's not a lot. This is how I fund everything, is through the website. And so go and sign up, help me get around the country, help me do more scouting and recruiting and exposing talent, and making sure that the rest of the world sees how hard our young fellas are working and how much they put into this, because you never know what opportunities come out of this. You never know what opportunities come out of the hard work you put into it. Like, all you can do is do the hard work, then whatever else comes from it, that's just what comes from it. But as long as you're putting out your best, and hopefully I show the best, and hopefully I show the talent that we have here, and so that more of our boys can find opportunities, not even just in here, like all around the world. There's a bunch of guys that always leave New Zealand every year to go to Japan or go to France or England or wherever it may be. Like, some guys have gone to Germany and Italy and Spain, and some go to America, join the under 20s, go to universities and stuff, play rugby. And so, all of this will go into it. All this work that I try and do is trying to help and benefit, all the players that are looking to hopefully do this for a career, and so that's why I do it. I do it because I know that there's no one else that does it. If I didn't do it, then you wouldn't hear that much about first team rugby, or even if you went and watched the game, you probably wouldn't have any kind of context of what's going on in terms of the rugby game that you're watching, because I'm the one that provides pretty much all the content and context of what's going on around first team rugby in New Zealand. And I love doing it. That's why I keep doing this every single year. And even every single year when I choose to, where I tell myself I'm going to give up, and this is the last year, I end up carrying on, because then, more boys want to be on the rankings, more parents want me to carry on, and it's helped so many guys that I don't even know that it's helped, but it just has, and so I'll continue to do this as long as it keeps helping boys, and it's done within the right spirit of things. That's what I'm kind of all about in terms of doing first team rugby. And I think if I gave up doing High School Top 200, I'd probably still find games to go to and just to watch, just as a fan, because I just love this. I just love this level of rugby. And so that's why I'm doing it. But anyways, apart from, now that we're at the stage, like this week I'm putting together a year 12 team. Like last week I did a year 11 team, and a year 11 sort of halfway, midway through kind of team that a bunch of people were interested in. A bunch of people said, are you going to do a year 12 team? Which I was anyway, but I'm doing that this week. But I think there's like there's a lot more talent in this year 12 team that I can remember as a whole it's just a bunch of these new guys that are coming through. So look forward, look out for that year 12 team. That year 12 team that I'll be doing this year, and hopefully I can get to go to some of these camps as well that are around the country. I'm going to one in Rotorua, I think maybe next week it is. I think it's next week. And I'll try and get to the Hurricanes one, or Chiefs one, or Blues one. Just to go throw my support and go have a gaze at what's going on and how all the players are going, how they're looking against other top talent. Because like I always say, like, you find out who the real Lions are, because you're at your school, man, and like I understand that all the first 15 guys, all the top dogs, and they're the Lions of the school. But you really find out who all the pussycats are once all the Lions come together. And then they end up training together, playing a game against each other and with each other. And you really find out who all the Lions are. And I think that's like the message that you send when you come to these camps. And it's cool coming to these camps. But at the same time, and this is just a message to all of you guys that got invited to the Blues camp, or the Chiefs, or the Hurricanes, or Crusaders, Highlanders, bring that same energy that you have at your school when you're at your school, and you bring that same energy to the camp. Do not drop off. Do not let go of who you think you are. Do not let go of who you want to be and who you're striving to be. And hold on to that energy and come to those trainings and those games and those regional camps. Bring that same energy and be that person that you want to be. And everyone knows that being a leader is not about being the toughest guy there, or being the strongest one in the gym, or whatever, or being like the fastest guy, or all that kind of stuff. It's like the ones that come with a sense of strength and pride added with humility and a willingness to learn and grow. And they're usually the Lions that you see, because when they transfer that to the field with what they've already got, and they just add all the extra stuff that they learn at these camps. If you're not adding anything at the camps to your own abilities, then honestly, man, you're not a Lion. You're pretty much a pussycat, to be honest. And that's for everyone going to these camps. Is just come a Lion and just remain a Lion and be the Lion that you are, and don't take a back step to anybody. And here's the thing, and this is to all you guys that come from small schools, is all you guys can come from small programs, guys that only train like two weeks out of the week, or just 3 days out of the week, and you don't have a professional setup like most of the big schools do. All you guys that come from small programs, eat up as much knowledge as you can and just throw everything at all these big guys. Throw everything at all these big schools, all these players from these big schools, and just give it to them every single time that you can. Because one thing that I've noticed with small school players that come to all these rep teams and these rep camps is that they're the ones that seem lost. They're also the ones that don't talk. They're also the ones that don't say anything. They're also the ones that don't ask questions. I mean, most of our teenagers don't ask questions anyway. But these guys really, really don't ask questions, and they don't even interact with everybody else. If you're a small time player coming from these small time schools and you've been invited to these camps, just understand that you belong. Understand that you've been picked for a reason, and understand that they saw something in you And that's the reason why you're there. Don't worry about what everyone else is. Don't worry about everybody else, whatever school they're coming from. Just remember that you got selected for a reason. Prove to them why you should be there. You came as a lion from your small school, because that's just how it is. And then prove to them that you're a lion as well. Don't be the pussycat, bro. Don't be that guy. And that's just for all you guys that come from small schools. Back yourself. Understand that you got selected. Understand that you got selected like everybody else that got selected. And that they see some talent in you. Add to the talent. Be vocal. Exert yourself in everything that you guys do, and then take away from it and take it back to your school. You know, just because you're from a small time school doesn't mean that you're not good. So like, with these camps all going on, and I hope to go to a few of them over these holidays and next holidays, just remember that that's where you belong. Alright? Remember that you're there for a reason. You belong there. So prove to everybody else that's also at that camp there too, that you belong there too. And plus all these guys from bigger schools, they just look at you and think, wow, this guy must be the man if he's invited here with everybody else. Because we know what your school is, we just know that you guys don't play in our division. That's kind of how they see it. They don't think that you don't belong there. They just think that you must be good, so show them how good you are, you know? All that kind of stuff. Before I lose the plot and start talking about a bunch of stuff that I've had on my mind throughout the week, and you know, start spilling out some thoughts, I want to go through, because we only got like 2 or 3 games left in the season for pretty much every competition that's in the country. So because I obviously keep a track of it. Let's go through some of these. Let's go through these competitions, all right? And first off, we'll start off with North Harbour. So looking at North Harbour, they got Rosmini first, Westlake second, Whangarei, Rangitoto and Massey. And top 4 go through. And right now that's Rosa, Westlake, Whangarei and Rangi. And so Rangitoto's on 33 and Massey's the next one down in 5th place on 20. And it's highly unlikely that it's going to change. And you know, it's just not one of those ones. So I have a feeling that Rosa, Westlake, Rangi, Whangarei and Rangitoto are going to remain the teams. And Massey's just not going to be able to make it there. Massey has got Orewa College, which I think they will win. Westlake, they're gonna struggle against, and they most likely gonna lose. And Mahurangi as well is one of those teams that you don't really play around with, and you don't really know if you're gonna win that game. And that one could be, Massey should win it. I just don't think that it's gonna be an easy beat. And if Mahurangi wins, then yeah, that's not a surprise, because Mahurangi is like a really good school. And I think they're going back down to Rugby by the Beach, down in Papamore this year, which they've won 2 years in a row now. And more teams need to go down to that competition as well. Put in your application, all that kind of stuff. I think we already got the team set for this year, but look out for it for next year. But Rangitoto being on 33 and Whangarei being on 38. I mean, no, it's not realistic to say. The top 2 are going to remain the same. The bottom 2 are going to remain the same. But it depends on, like, you're kind of like playing against who you want to play. Like, I don't know if Westlake No, I do not. Westlake will want their revenge on Rangitoto. And because they don't get to play them unless they play them in the semis. And I have the feeling that Westlake would want to play them in the semis and get their get back. Because that game against Rangitoto that they just had, where Rangitoto beat them, then they beat them with a full team. It wasn't like, oh, we had to have this guy sit out and this guy, like from what the game that I saw with everyone there, everyone was playing. And so Rangitoto beat them fair and square. And so like I have a feeling that Westlake would rather have Rangitoto than have Whangarei boys. And I think Rosa and Westlake are the only thing that's going to happen is those two will probably switch. And so Rangitoto play Rosemini, which obviously they can win too. Like Rangitoto can beat Rosemini. I don't think that they will, but that's the first game that they have when they come back. And then Rosemini play Whangarei, and then they play Westlake. So they have like the hardest 3 games Rosemini does to end their season. They have the hardest last 3 games with Rangitoto, Whangarei, and Westlake boys. And I think that would be the only time that you would see a switch in the standings. But I don't think that they're gonna fall lower than second Rosemini. Like they could change if Westlake be 1 and 2, but ultimately I think they're gonna stay 1 and 2, Westlake and Rosemini, and then Whangarei and Rangitoto will be 3 and 4, depending on who's 3 and who's 4. I just think Westlake, who play Mahurangi, Massey, then Rosemini, I have a feeling that they would wish to get Rangitoto just for that get back. Whangarei will play Takapuna, Rosemini, and then Rangitoto, which will be a hard one as well. And maybe they would have that last game of the season to sort of figure out the standings. But either way, those two are going to play one of Rosemini or Westlake. Whoever they play, I don't think it really matters. I just think that from a Westlake point of view, they would rather have Rangitoto, and then try and embarrass them. That's what I think that they would do. They're going to try and embarrass them if that scenario works out. But the 4 teams for that semi, with the last 3 games left, Rosemini, Westlake, Whangarei, and Rangitoto will be in it. Massey really has to have a look at their team and what happened. Takapuna, who will have another really good team next year, will probably need to start looking at trying to improve the younger grades coming through so that they can continuously have really good players coming through Takapuna in their first 15, because Takapuna's done really good. Like I know like people probably don't know sort of that struggle from Takapuna grammar and what they've done with their rugby program, but their rugby program has really, really grown and it's stayed pretty steady. And so I think Takapuna need to continue to keep bringing these guys through, making sure their under 15s are strong, making sure that they are technically sound and, you know, all that kind of stuff, so that once they get to first 15, they can sort of carry on and they can slowly get better and better and better. It's not like a quick fix kind of thing. But that's what I think with the North Harbour. That's what I think will happen with those guys, is that they're looking at a situation like that where you already know that Rosemini and Westlake are going to be the top 2. You already know Whangarei and Rangitoto. And also, like, you already know that the finals is going to be played at the stadium. So there's going to be no home field advantage once you get to the finals. So you have to kind of win their semis. Now, and we already know that Rangitoto can beat Westlake. Rangitoto can also beat Rosemini. Whangarei drew with Westlake. And so Westlake have got to be careful with how how they address both teams, because both teams are pretty confident now that they can beat them. Both teams have that belief that they can take them down, and they can mimic both of those two games to draw hopefully the same conclusion in their first games. But if the upset happens, even though I think Westlake's a better team than Rosmini, I think the upset happens on a Westlake game, not a Rosmini game. So I'm already kind of predicting that Rosmini goes through to the finals. And this is not in the hands of the coaches for Westlake boys. It's not up to them. To me, it's in the hands of the players. Now, the players have to get over that mental barrier of Rangitoto beat us and we drew with Whangarei boys. And if a game gets tight and some of those Westlake players start to panic, that's going to be their downfall. Now, I am going to put the game on guys like Arlo and Travis, Harry, Jeremiah, you fellas. You guys, to me, are the ones that are going to have to win this. If this ever happens in a scenario of this game where you're in the semis and you're up against either or Whangarei or Rangitoto, and then you start to feel that turn where you guys are not getting the way what you need to get and you can feel panic, I look at the guys like yous to calm down everybody else. To calm down, reset, refocus, and take it ruck by ruck at a time. Take it from penalty to penalty and refocus and recenter your team. And the reason why I put it on you guys is because you guys are the flipping leaders of that team. Arlo's the captain, Travis is the New Zealand hopeful, you know, Jeremiah and Harry have been there since, you know, year 11, along with the other two, and then, you know, like, I feel like you four as the bigger leaders of that team, you guys have to be the ones to make that statement. You guys have to be the ones to tell everyone, this is what we're going to do from now on. If that ever happens. And if that scenario comes back in, hopefully you guys kick into leadership and, you know, leadership mindset and just settle everyone down. Because I don't think you guys should lose to Whangarei or Rangitoto. All I know is that you guys are capable of losing to them. And I know Rosmini, and I still stand by the fact that I think Westlake is a better team than Rosmini, but Rosmini hasn't felt the loss. Rosmini hasn't lost to those teams, the only ones that they've lost to you guys. So I don't feel like Rosmini has that mental block in their confidence when it comes to playing those other two teams. And so if that ever comes about, then to me, it's just like, yeah, I'll be looking at you guys, you know, like I'll be looking at that situation. If
Go, Joe. Snap off.
If we go to, what is it? Go to the 1A. And this is big, right? The 1A is big because obviously we had the number one team lose. Liston College went and beat up the number one team in the country. Liston beating them is not a surprise. And it's not a surprise because they only lost to St. Kitts by 5 points. They only lost to Sacred Heart by 3 points or 5 points. And So playing these other guys, they beat Kelston, then they won the other games that they had, but only losing to St. Kentigern's by 5 and Sacred Heart by, under a try as well. Liston is not it's not a surprise team. It's really not, and we saw it, and I pretty much saw it when we saw them against Hamilton Boys in the preseason, is that oh no, this is not like a one-off good scrimmage. Like, these guys were legitimate, and I don't think the 1A was ready for how good they were. I think they kind of knew, because all the boys kind of know each other, but I think they kind of knew, but they weren't quite sure. And because I think you pay attention more to wins and losses rather than how much you're losing by, I think that Auckland teams lost or got confused of how good this Liston team really is. And Liston have Grammar and St. Peter's next. And both of those games they can win. And so the standing right now is St. Kentigern's, Kings, Sacred Heart, Liston. And that's 38, 35, 33 and 30. And then you got Kelston, Auckland Grammar and St. Peter's. And St. Peter's is on 21. They're going to need all full points to make it into the top 4. So that's kind of a stretch. Because St. Peter's they're going to play De La Salle next, which I think they can win. They'll have to play Liston, which I don't think that they can win, but it's not out of their range of they can win that game. And I think they'll be out of their mags, and I think they're going to win that one. So they can win all 3 games. I think they can get their full 4 tries. And remember, St. Peter's is not a team that scores high points. And I've talked about this over the years, and even some of the St. Peter's guys that I talk to, they say the same thing. It's whenever they play teams that they're way better than, they don't really put up 50, 60 point scores. They'll put up a 30-point score or a low 40 score, but they don't put up big scores. So asking for 4 tries in all these 3 games is a big ask, but I think it's doable. I think it's doable against De La Salle, and I think it's really doable against Mags as well. The Liston one, though, I'm not too sure. I'm not even sure if they can win the game, because I'll pick Liston in this game, but St. Peter's can win it. With 4 tries, I don't know, but I know that they have a chance to win. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they have a chance. And they are on 21 points, so it's kind of a stretch that they can make that 30 points that you need to get into that top 4 area. And realistically, they would need 33 or 34. Auckland Grammar is 6th on the list at 24, also kind of a little bit out, but they have Liston, which I think it's pretty similar with those 2 teams, and whoever wins is not going to blow out the other team. It's going to be a really close game. I think I might try and go to that game, the Liston Auckland Grammar one. But Auckland Grammar is on 24. They have Liston, St. Paul's and Kelston Boys. The St. Paul's one, they have to be careful, because St. Paul's is not really a team that you can play around against. I know that they're low on the table. Oh, actually, no, they're mid-table, actually, to be honest. They're mid-table. But Auckland Grammar just can't think that they're just going to go and walk over them, because St. Paul's that we have now is not the St. Paul's from 5 years ago. So they do have the talent. They do have a lot of the boys that are league players, but they do know how to play rugby. They know how to play rugby now. So it's not foreign to them of what's happening in the game. But at 24 points, they're going to need another situation where they need full points. But they need full points against Liston. I don't know if they can get that. I don't even know if they can get that win. They need full points against St. Paul's, which they can get, just not a given. And even if they win the game, I don't even know if they can score 4 tries over St. Paul's. And Kelston is another one is that, Kelston's not supposed to be good this year. They're supposed to be good next year. But they're sitting 5th on the list. Like, this team pretty much full of year 12s, and even their year 13s are young year 13s. All their year 13s in the team, the ones that I know, are all only turning 17 this year. They're not even turning 18. So even the old guys in their team are not even old. They might even be younger than some of the year 12s. Yeah, I think that some of them are younger than some of the year 12s. So like this Kelston boys team is like overdone. Like they're really overachieved in what they were supposed to do coming into this year. And so Kelston boys, who's at 26 and they're sitting just above Auckland Grammar, they play King's College, Dilworth School, and then they play Auckland Grammar. The King's College one, it's lucky that, like, if I was Kelston boys, I would have wished that the game would be this next week. Because Kelston boys have been playing really good, even though they just lost to Sacred Heart. They only lost by 5 or 7, like just like a try or something really low. And so, like, to me, I'll just take that confidence in with me, and knowing that Liston just beat them, I would feed off that. Feed off, like, you're not unbeaten, you're not like a perfect season anymore. I'll be looking at that situation, and I'll try and take that in. And so Kelston is sitting at 26. Even if they lose to King's College, they need to beat Dilworth School and they need to beat Auckland Grammar. They can win both of those games, and I think they're winning the Dilworth School one, and they'll get their 4 tries. But they're going to need a win and the 4 tries off Grammar. Now, that's not easy to do. That's not like a given. But that's what's going to be asked of them. And so they can take full advantage of being in the position at 5th. They're 4 points behind Liston, who's on 30. And Liston College is going to have Grammar, St. Peter's, and St. Paul's. Grammar's going to be the most important game. Because they need to win each one at a time, and then St. Paul's, who's going to be their last game, is going to be another hard one too, because you can't take your mind off the fact that St. Paul's is a mid-table team, but also if let's say Liston College wins against Grammar and St. Peter's. They know they're closing out the season, and you can relax. I'm not saying you should relax, I'm saying that teams can relax and let that last one go, not put so much effort into it, all that kind of situation, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to look at St. Paul's and go, well, St. Paul's isn't going to make the top 4, we're already in the top 4. If we win it, we win it. If we lose, we don't. It's fine. It's whatever. And really, that's not even fine. You can't take a relaxed intensity going into the top 4 of the 1A competition. You just can't. Even if you are guaranteed, you can't have a loss going into the top 4 against an easier team that you should be able to beat. If you're taking that same attitude in it, trust me, you're probably going to lose that game, and you're not even going to be, you're not even going to be in it. You're going to lose your semi-finals if you have that same kind of attitude. You've got to look at St. Paul's and go, that's King's College right there, and you've got to play them the way that you would play them usually. You would play a hard team. You're going to play them like this is your national title game, and you're going to make sure that you win. And this is where I hope that if Liston College do get to that point, that they don't drop off. Sacred Heart's on 33, 35 and 38. I can see Sacred Heart dropping out. Sacred Heart have got Dilworth School, which I think they can win, Botany, who I think they can win, and then St. Kitts, which is the hard one. And if they're already set for Dilworth School and Bonnie Downs, and they're already in it, and they're far in it, and they want to rest some players, play half games, something like that, that's fine against St. Kitts. And St. Kitts probably will be doing the same, because they're going to be okay. St. Kitts are sitting at the top. They have St. Paul's, King's College, and Sacred Heart. And they should win the St. Paul's. The King's College might be a toss-up of who's going to win or lose, and the Sacred Heart might be a toss-up. They might just do each other favours and put in their, maybe bleed in some new talent, some young boys, some, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that their players aren't too smashed up, coming into that situation. And like, these teams have been there so many times in these situations where they're playing in the top four in the semis for the 1A, and they know how it's supposed to be. They know what it feels like, and they know how to go into these games. Listing College is different, where they don't. They've never been there, and they've never been able to be in those situations year after year and going, okay, yeah, we know how to turn this around. Most of these boys are excited that they're just sitting in fourth right now, because they've never been this dominant. As far as I know, they've never been this dominant, and so that's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a real big one. And then obviously King's College have Kelston Boys and St. Kitts for their last two games, and then they play Botany to finish off the season. They might try and do the same. If they can win those two games of Kelston and St. Kitts, which are going to be insanely hard, both of them, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But not an easy given, a pretty hard thing to do. 3 weeks in a row and then going into semi-finals. It's going to be pretty hard. The 1B, I'll talk about the 1B for a little bit, because I like that competition. I like that competition, and I think I've said this before, but if the 1B don't have the same mindset and outlook and view of the 1A, get it televised, man. Get your 1B players televised, and get these guys that are good players, get them seen by Manawatu, get them seen by Bear Plenty, get them seen by Waikato and by Crusaders and by the Highlanders, and that by YouTubing their games. Do exactly what Whakaata Māori is doing. Ask Whakaata Māori if they can do the same, because I've said it before, it's like, if you're good enough to be seen, you're going to be seen. No, it's false. It's so wrong. It's not even true. 1B players, 1B teams have 1A players, have Blues potential players that should be looked at more and more. They should be seen. They should be playing in 1A. They just go to a different school, but because the school's in a lower grade, they're not going to get seen as much. I have been to 4 games now of 1B schools, and I've been sent at least 2 1B school games a week since the season started. So I've seen every single school. Sir Edmund Hillary is the only one that I've seen once on film. But everybody else I've seen pretty much 3 times, at least 3 times. And they have 1A talent in all of those teams. And they need to as a 1B level, they need their players to be seen by other people. Not just the Auckland region. They need them to be seen by other regions that don't have the players like they do. You know, like, okay, we'll see it this way, right? In the Hawke's Bay, we'll take the Hawke's Bay for example. And most regions are like this. Hawke's Bay have Hastings and Napier boys, and then they have Lindisfarne. 3 schools that they rely on heavily for players. The best players might not even stay there. They might go to Wellington or might go to Auckland and that kind of stuff. So they have all these other players to go into their academy. They'll pick a few from Te Aute, they'll pick a few from St. John's, Hastings. They might try and go to Dannevirke and get 1 player or something like that. So they're only relying on so many schools. But if you televise the 1B, Hawke's Bay can look at players in there and go, we'll take that guy, we'll reach out to this guy, Bay of Plenty have Otago boys, Rotorua boys. That's it. Then they'll pick a couple out of Taupo Nuiatea College. They'll find a few at Papamoa. They'll find maybe 1 or 2 at Aquinas or, Mount Maunganui or something like that. But if they saw the 1B, they'll see more selection of players. And if you Samoans and Tongans that play in the 1B and you Māoris that play in the 1B, if you've ever been to the Mount or Papamoa, I guarantee it's probably a lot nicer than where you guys live. Where you can go to the beach every single day, you can hang around and you got really good clubs down there in the Bay of Plenty, and it's just a nicer place to live. Beautiful city, beautiful place to live, beautiful beaches. We don't even drive to Raglan to go to the beach. We go to the Mount to go to the beach, my family. We'd rather go there. Same thing with Palmerston. Palmerston's only got Fielding, Palmy boys. That's it. Manawatu would love to see players in your guys' area and go, yeah, we can bring them down here. We got Massey University down here. We can bring them down here and study and all that kind of stuff. There's so many opportunities you can get. Tasman is the same. Tasman's only got Nelson and Marlborough boys. That's it. So 1B, if you're listening, look at going onto YouTube next year, everybody being seen, everyone getting a chance, and then go from there, see what happens. This is for 1B. And the 1B, Southern Cross is at the top. Southern Cross, Tangaroa College. And it goes Howick, Tamaki, Maclean's. And then it's Aorere, Otahu, and then it's Pakudanga. And the top 4, if I was to pick the top 4, I would go Southern Cross, I would go Howick, I would go Maclean's, and then there's a big toss-up between Tamaki, Tangaroa, and Aorere. Those 3 teams are, to me, on the sort of the same level. And Southern Cross, they have Maclean's next, Aorere, and Tamaki, which is like 3 really hard games. And all of these teams have really hard games coming to this second part of the competition, where they've already split up into the top 8 and bottom 8. And so all these games are going to be hard. And Tamaki, to me, I don't know. They're all pretty hard. Because Tangaroa College have Aorere College, Tamaki, and Pakudanga. To me, and like I've got to say, like Pakuranga to me probably shouldn't be in there. I would rather go with Avondale College. But Avondale College fell apart towards the end of the first round and Pakuranga made it in. But Pakuranga defaulted on their first game, which is kind of like one of those reasons why I don't really like them being in that situation. Even though they've earned it, they've played the games, they earned it, cool, whatever. Personally, you shouldn't make the top 8 and then forfeit, default on the first game of the second round. But all these teams are gonna see, because even Otago College has Pakuranga, Maclean's, and Aotearoa. And like the hardest teams to me would be the Southern Cross, Howick, Maclean's would be the 3 teams that you don't. I think if you have 2 of those teams in your last 3 games, if you got 2 of the 3, it's going to be really hard for you. It's going to be really hard for you. And see, like Tamaki College they have to play Howick, Tangaroa, and Southern Cross. And Tamaki is a good team, but if they lose all 3 of those games, it looks bad. But it's like, hey man, those aren't 3 easy teams. Those are not 3 easy games to win. Because even Southern Cross playing Maclean's, Aotearoa, and Tamaki, even that's really hard too. Actually, yeah, I would put that over. No. I would rather not. I would rather play Tamaki's schedule than rather play Sacred Hearts. Than Southern Cross's one. Because even Howick's got Tamaki, Pakuranga, and Maclean's. Maclean's have to play Southern Cross, Otago College, and Howard College. See, the Otago game is probably the easiest one, but even then, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Otago College have got Pakuranga, which they should win. They need to win their Pakuranga one, and then they need to try and put some good scores up against Maclean's and Aotearoa. That OC versus AO game is going to be a pretty big one too. The third week. If that's the third week there, the one A has got. Oh, if I'm coming up on that third week. Unless that Kelston game and Auckland Grammar one is a must-win. See, because I don't want to come and watch St. Kitts and Sacred Heart, because if they're already in it, they're not going to play hard. They're not going to give everything. They're probably going to rest most of their guys if they're all already set. But if Kelston and Auckland Grammar, and it comes down to that on that third week, and then I can go in and watch Otago College and AO, that would be a pretty big one too. Because Maclean's and Howard be on that third week. I don't know, because Tamaki. Oh, hold on. I don't want to commit to that. Because Tamaki and Southern Cross have a big game at the end too. That would be another big game to go to. Hold on. I'll work this out before I even commit to one of those. But if I was going to pick that top 4 for that 1B, it would be Southern Cross, it would be Howard, it would be Maclean's, and then Tamaki, TC, and AO have to me, that would be the toss-up, one of those 3 teams. And that's just what I'm picking now, and they haven't even played those last 3 games. That's who they're coming back to play. But those are the ones that I would pick. Tangaroa College is another one too that's been playing really good later on in the season, so like that might be another big one too. And they have Ao, Tamaki and Pakuranga. None of these none of them are easy. I feel sorry for Pakuranga because they have to play Otago, Howick, and then TC. And that Howick and TC games, oof. Pakuranga, man, you better be ready for that. That's what I reckon. You better be ready for that. Anyways, the next one is Super 8. Let's talk about Super 8. There's only one more round already. Oh, 2 more rounds, but Palmy will have to lose their last 2 games for them to slip out of this finals. And it could happen, it could happen. Because Palmy on 24, Rotorua Boys is on 20, TBC have got 17, Hastings got 16, Hamilton Boys have got 13. I think Hamilton Boys is out of this. Even if they get full points and, they play Gisborne and Hastings, I don't know if they're going to make it even with full points. It's just too much. And I think so Hamilton will be out of this. But they could upset Hastings from making the top 4, which they play in the second week. And Hastings have to play TBC and Hamilton Boys. So, that sucks. Honestly, that's like the worst thing you could do. Palmy have to play Rotorua Boys and Napier Boys. And we already know that Napier Boys is not a dud team. Napier Boys is such a good team. And because it's a Pulse and Banner game, I think that's on like a Wednesday. That's not a guaranteed win for Palmy Boys. And if Palmy Boys lose their first game against Rotorua and TBC end up winning against Hastings and against Gisborne, they could be the ones that jump up with Rotorua Boys. Palmy just can't lose their last 2 games. And Palmy's even that one with Hamilton Boys where they won with a kick. I think if that one won, if Hamilton Boys won that one, they would still be in the race. And this would be a 5-team. And this thing, I think it's the first time I've ever seen a 5-team out of the Super 8, 5 teams chasing after the last 2 spots. Most of the time it's one's already taken up and they're just fighting over one more. But even this one, it could just be a Hastings, or it could be a Rotorua Tauranga finals. Or if Hastings wins both games, they could probably end up there too. And it all depends off these 4 tries as well and making sure you get there. But Palmy Boys shouldn't mess this up. Because they have Rotorua in Rotorua, I think, too. And that will be a big game for them too. So, it's going to be... that's going to be a pretty hard out one. I don't know who I'll choose to. I think Palmy would stay there. I think Rotorua Boys might be in that too. And that'd probably be the final. And TBC, that would be the one that I think would be... Tauranga Boys College would be the one that I think would probably make that jump if there was any kind of a jump up for that. But that would be the more important one, I think. And I've always thought, it's just man, I hope they need to do something like the CNI competition where they have everyone play for their last placing games. And this is how I always said it. I think they should all play for their last placing games, and then however that falls, the next year they hit up the 1A and they go, we're all going to have a 1-day game against each other, we'll all meet in Taupo or something, and then we'll all play 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4, and just play a one-off, that kind of thing, against the Super 8 and through the 1A. And just have a one-day game at the 3 fields, 4 fields. The 4 fields that they have over in Owen Delaney Park. So we have all these Aucklanders come down to Taupo, all these guys from all over the country, and it'll be pretty much be like the Super 8 and the top 8 teams from the 1A, all at one place in Taupo. The beginning of the season, it's pretty much get all the scouts, get all the agents, get all the talent IDs and the NRL teams and go, hey, just come for one day because everyone's going to be there. Pretty much like 70% of the team of New Zealand secondary school team is probably going to be there on the field, on those fields at the time. You know, so like they should do something like that. Super 8 and 1A need to get together like that and just and have a big thing like that, and make it like an event every single year. And like I guarantee, like, and I think this will be a lot. This will do a lot for schoolboy rugby as well. I think it'll do a lot for schoolboy rugby as well as a brand for schoolboy rugby in New Zealand, as if they had something like this. But anyway.
Sammy.
But anyways, that's just like one of those thoughts that I have all the time. That is always a good thought, but no one wants to do it. Anyways, we're going to CNI. CNI, everyone's just got one more game left, and I think the only one that has... Lindisfarne's already finished. Lindisfarne's already finished. I finished on second. It looks like St. Peter's Cambridge will finish first. Because they have to play St. John's Hastings, which I think they're going to win. So they'll finish first. Fielding are on 27. So St. Peter's have 34, Lindisfarne has 31, Fielding have 27, and then they play Whanganui Collegiate, and they play Wesley College and Whanganui Collegiate. Wesley College is first. That's the first week back from the holidays. They play up up at Wesley, and then Whanganui Collegiate, I think that's the one that they play at home. So they need to win both of those to be in the top 2. And if they win both of those, they'll be second. Fielding will be second. Lindisfarne will drop down to third. But Wesley College need to win both of their games too. They will play Fielding, and then they will play Francis Douglas. And Francis Douglas is not an easy team to beat either. And I think Wesley have to travel down there. And they're on 18 points. Then you got St. Paul's on 15, and they play Whanganui Collegiate. That's the first week that they get back, and then they play St. John's Hamilton on that second one. They have to win both of those games to even try and compete with Wesley College, and Wesley College have to win both of those games too. So there's a fight out, but Wesley College has that 3 points buffer between them. Whanganui Collegiate, they can win, but they have to beat St. Paul's away, and then they have to beat Fielding away. And for Whanganui Collegiate, it's just too much for them to do. It's like it's too much of a hassle for them to try and win away games like that. So I'm gonna have to count that out. And I hope you guys don't think, oh, you just don't believe in us, blah blah blah, whatever. I'm just trying to look at it like realistically. It's just like Whanganui Collegiate is good. I just don't think that they have in it to win against St. Paul's away and then Fielding away at 12 points to try and get, anywhere close to what they need. They're going to have to make sure that Wesley lose both and that St. Paul's, they beat St. Paul's and then St. Paul's loses to St. John's. To me, that's just too much to ask. And that's too much of a, what's going to happen, if they can do it, all that kind of stuff. But you can hope. You can hope. It's still open. It's not closed. And I'm not like the watcher of who's the decision, what it comes down to. But that's just what I think. We have Wellington. Wellington's pretty much. Wellington's pretty much run by Stream, and Stream has Tower, Scots, and they have Town, then they have Scots, and they have Tower. They're not losing the Scots, they're not losing the Tower, but that St. Pat's Town game, which they have first one back, and that's a midweek game. I think this one's televised. That's the one televised on Sky. That will be the important one. But it's Stream on 29, Town on 26, Wellington College on 25, and then Hibs is on 21, then Rathco's on 18. And so that gap, they're not going to lose their top spot, or they're not going to slip further than 2. Wellington College has to play Hibs, Tawa, Rathco, which Wellington College should win all 3. They should have a tight game against Hibs and a tight game against Rathco. Rathco really started off this season bad in terms of the way that they didn't really know what to expect, and every game has pulled up on them pretty. It's been a big learning curve for this school coming into the Wellington College or Wellington comp. Wellington College will have Hibs, Tawa, Rathco, which they should win all 3. 2 hard games though. Hibs will have Wellington College, Whited Upper, and Town. Those 3 could all be losses, and Hibs really need to watch out. Rathco will have Scots, St. Bernard's, and then Wellington College. Rathco I can see beating those first 2, and they're going to have a problem with Wellington College. But if they can get all 3 wins, they will be in that top 4. And I already said at the beginning of the year that I thought Rathco will be in that top 4. So really they have to battle it out with Hibs. Wellington need to hold their spot, which I think they will, and they can. Town is the other one that I think because Town have Stream, Rongotai, and Hibs, and I think Hibs can give them a problem. I don't think Hibs is a better team, but I think Hibs can give them a problem and probably cause an upset. And whenever I watch Town play, I always look at it as like there's guys in that team that I would play in different positions. And I know that they have their own system of what they want and what they're looking for and stuff, but there's a few guys that I would play in different positions based on the team that they're running and based on the way that they play. and the competition they're coming up with, I would switch a few boys around and get more physical. I think get more physical, play more tight, not be too expansive. They've got too big of a front row to be that expansive. And what's his name? Okusos, I think it is his name. A big prop, the number 3, who I really like. Him and the hooker, both of them real big boys. Pretty agile, but not like a lot of mobility and fitness to them. But they get through the game, and they'll always give you good runs. They'll always give you good meters. But to me, trying to play the game too widespread and expansive, I don't think helps them and their ability to add to in that team. So like, I will still keep them there. I'll just change guys that are around them to give you something different. At the end of this, I think it might be Stream, Wellington College, Town, and then Rathkill. Because Hibs could lose those 3 games, which are pretty hard, with Wellington College, Wairarapa, and Town. And like also, like, I mean, Town could probably drop out as well. They could fall out of this. I mean, I think they can beat Rongotai. I think they're going to beat Rongotai, but Stream and Hibs, those 2 are pretty hard games for them as well. And they might change the whole idea of this. So, you know, that's a pretty hard one to call as well. And, you know, we don't really know. Last ones. There's only one more game, and Nelson College and Christ College need to play. There's only 5 teams really in it. That's Christchurch, Marlborough. Those 2 are already set. They've got their last game against each other. Whether they'll fool, I think out of pride, I think both of them will put their best teams out there. St. Thomas, I think, is set. The only last one is the last place, which is Nelson. And if Nelson lose against Christ College, Stack needs to win against Rangiora, and then Nelson have St. Bede's is the last one. So Nelson playing St. Bede's is not a given as well. St. Bede's could come back and win that. Christ College could win that. So they got 2 games that they really have to worry about, and then we'll go into the top 4. But you know, Christchurch boys, Marlborough boys, St. Thomas, I think are pretty safe. Nelson College and Stack probably fighting for that last one. Stack, I think, will win against Rangiora, and if Nelson lose the Christ College as well as the Bedes, and they'll probably fall out, and then Stack will go through to that top 4. And like, Nelson College have actually made it a long way with the rebuild team that they have right now. With all those guys that left last year and the rebuild team that they have right now, they've been doing so good with the rebuild team that they have right now. And like, you could see how much of these players have lifted since the beginning of this year. And the interesting thing is that Christchurch boys and Marlborough is going to be a big game. Out of ego, I think both of them are going to put on their best teams, and they're going to go, well, let's battle this out now, find out who's better, and then we'll play each other hopefully in the finals and then do it again. Yeah, but that's it from that. And then the last competition is the Southern one. Southland boys is obviously going, they're the best at it right now, but their biggest ones, they play Otago boys, which is an up and down team all season, and I don't think that Southland boys is going to lose a game. They got Otago, they got John McGlashan, and they got St. Kevin's. I think all three of those that they win. Otago boys have Southland boys, which I think they'll lose. They have King's High School again, and I think they're going to lose that one again. And then they play Southland boys second 15, which I think they'll win. King's College plays Southland boys second 15. I think they'll win that. I think they beat Otago boys as well as John McGlashan, even though Otago boys won the first one. Yeah, they won the first one. I think that they're going to win the second one. John McGlashan have St. Kevin's, Southland boys, and then King's High School. And I don't think they'll be able to win those. I think they'll beat St. Kevin's, but yeah, not the others. St. Kevin's have it hard. They have John McGlashan, they have the second 15, Southland boys, and then they have Southland boys. It's just not an easy one for them. But then it should be, the top four should be those same teams of Southland boys, Otago boys, King's High School, and also John McGlashan. I think it might end up being Southland boys, Kings, Otago, John McGlashan, and then I think it's going to be a Southland boys, Kings finals, Kings High School finals. Yeah. Anyways, talk too long. It's been a big rundown for the whole country. But yeah, have a look back over this holidays. I'll have some stuff coming out and some changes in the rankings. But yeah, love you all. Later, ball.